Aloha, I'm Felicia Miller Johnson, and this is All Intuitive Conversation. Aloha, and welcome to another show of All Intuitive Conversation. So I'm excited to be connecting with Marisa today. Let's bring her onto the camera. Aloha, Marisa.
Aloha, Felicia. How are you?
I am doing well on this fabulous 2222 day.
Right.
So it is a great portal conversation today. So it is I know no accident that we are going to be connecting and talking today. And so it's for those that you have been on the show before. If you have not seen the show before, I have not had a conversation with Marisa before. So
Mhm.
I'm basically learning about her right now. So my very first question for you is tell me about the Ritzy.
The Ritzy. The short
Yes.
condensed story is that my name's supposed to be Maritza, Maritza.
Uh-huh.
And because of the times, no one was in the hospital to correct my birth certificate, so it was Marisa. But they told me the story, and I ran with it. I'm a child of the '80s. I started tagging Ritz, and then it evolved to Ritzy, and then here we are, Ritzy Periwinkle, and that's how everyone calls me. And the name of my first company, Ritzy Periwinkle.
Oh, I am loving that. So what does your do you know what your name means?
What Ritzy means?
Yeah, like what's your original name? Did it have a
Oh,
meaning? Does it have
Maritza.
a Marisa?
Well, I think Maritza and Marisa have the same. It's of the sea.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you like the sea, like the ocean, water kind of thing?
No, I'm afraid. I'm like afraid of it. It's like a whole unknown world. And since I was a
Yeah.
kid, it kind of like I love it. I need to be near it. I need to live somewhere where I can drive to it. It's
Yes.
only a couple of hours. I don't know. I don't have to see it. I just have to be near it. But when I do see it, and especially at night, I don't know. It kind of it's so unknown, and also I don't know. It's been a weird thing. I haven't dived deep into it. Maybe I should ask my therapist our next session. Like, what does that mean?
Interesting because you got the things I was like, okay, we are already shuffling. So the very first trigger is that I don't want to be here. There's a trigger for that. But it says that I am exactly where I need to be. It says you are ready to allow the energy from the divine and the Mother Earth to fuel you as you fulfill your potential here. So
Hmm,
interesting.
hmm.
So, okay, so you are drawn to the water, but have this kind of fear, which is interesting, which is actually like the definition of awe, which there's this
Mm.
wonder and amazement combined with like fear sometimes. It's like of the unknown and what am I supposed to do with this kind of thing. So, hmm. So interesting. Okay. So did you grow up near water? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in San Diego, 2 exits away from the border. They call it South Bay San Diego, and really close to the beach. I mean, maybe it's not even. It's like 30 minutes, 40 minutes to the beach, and
Mhm.
it's like literally you could see the gate that goes into the water. So one side is the United States, and the other side is Mexico. And yeah, I never really went to the beach until hardcore until maybe a couple of years ago because I'm an older mom. And I
Mhm.
got to see it and experience it in a new way and see how calming it was. I wasn't as fearful of it just being there, it was really calming. And I was like, man, I could have been doing this my entire life. I lived so close.
Mhm.
But sometimes it takes, the eyes of a to see something through the eyes of a child to reconnect with it. Um, and if I think about it, I grew up with really asthmatic, always had bronchitis and pneumonia. And so I had this thing of like water, how it, kind of compresses your lungs. And so I think that's also a part of it.
Mhm.
Um, So, the water and, the ocean and everything like that. But
Huh.
yeah.
So you mentioned that you were an older mom. So was it your child that inspired you? You say, "Hey, mom, want to go to the beach?" Like, what's
Yes, because
the
it was summertime and we are like, what can we do with these kids in the summer?
right? Yes.
And I found we were in a co-op preschool, and I found some amazing moms that now we're family. And this was about maybe 5 years ago, and they're like, let's go to the beach. And I was like, really? And then I turned into like, we lived at the beach, and it was great. The kids could be there and we're in the nature, and I mean, we were in the sun. I was just like, wow, this is great. And I could have been doing this a long time ago, you know?
Mm, mhm. Yeah. Um, okay, so you did that and you joined the family and having that whole connection. And so it's interesting because you again, the whole family kind of concept idea of going
Mhm.
out and just spending time with the family. Um, so tell me about high school.
High school. It's funny, I was just talking about this recently.
Of course you
Um, uh, I had a guest on that I was talking to last week, and we were talking about floating. And it's funny, my first bio that I paid someone to write for me, because I'm also a visual artist. And the first bio, this was like early 2000s. I told her my high school history and my entire history, and she's like, "Oh, you're a floater. You're a floater amongst your peers." And I was like, "Yeah," and that's how it was in high school. I connected with so many different groups of people, for different reasons, whether it was music or things they were into, the artists, the dramatic, the dancers. And I could never just be in one group. And so I
Mhm.
was a floater. And that's how it was. Um, and that's how I consider myself to be till this day. I have so many friends in different pockets of life to do different things, because I love so many different things. I'm curious. And
Mm.
my son listens to this one kid science podcast, and their tagline is because we're serious about being curious. And that's me, and that's him.
Yes, yes. Okay, so you were a floater, so you
Hmm.
kinda could integrate, so that kinda makes sense now, seeing all the different groups. Um, and the people, you have the males group, you have the pregnancy group, you have the older group, so it's like, okay, so I'm looking at you and I'm like, I see you as this bird right here, like you're going from, like,
It's true.
you know, floating from the thing to, you see it all, like you can connect with all of it. So, how does floating show up for you now as an adult?
It shows up in the type of before I didn't consider myself an artist or a creative, because I thought it had to be a certain thing, whatever I
Mm,
was shown, especially during those times. I thought it had to be a certain thing, and I didn't have access to it. But growing up, going to college, entering the music industry, creative, I could see that if you're a creative, you can be creative in any medium, in any way.
wow.
So I was an artist, a visual artist, exhibiting artist, but I consider myself a little bit left and right brain.
Mm,
And so I was in the marketing department for, big concert promoters. And I could see how I could be creative in the marketing
mm,
area. Do you know what I
mhm.
mean? I can
Yeah.
think outside the box, and I can be creative that way. So now I don't limit myself, and I can see that I can be have this business, I can do this project, so I can float basically, in and out of whatever my creative pursuits might be. And I don't have to be limited and say, well, I'm just this or I'm just
Mhm,
that. And I think also it has caught up with the times. Do you know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
when I was growing up, you could listen to only one type of music, and that wasn't me at all. And now, kids grow up and they just automatically are exposed to so much because they have access to so much more. And
Right.
so I was like, yeah, this is the time. This is my time. This is
Mm,
what, I feel like sometimes, like, to be really real, sometimes I think,
yeah.
wow, I wish I was younger in this time, because I feel like I could even, flourish even more. But I'm excited. I'm excited of the possibilities. And I think something that you mentioned earlier, of the awe, where there's like a fear connected, there's like a
Mhm.
duality. Um, I've lived my life. It's been since 2006 that I left the security of a cubicle working in the music industry to start Ritzy
Mhm.
Periwinkle, and it was one of the scariest things. There's always these scary, super frightening steps that I'm about to take, and I don't know what's on the other side. But those are the times when I take those leaps. Those are the times turn out to be the most rewarding,
Yeah.
personally and professionally. So that makes sense. Totally makes
Yeah.
sense.
So what was it that actually inspired you to take that step in that moment to say, "Okay, I'm putting in my resignation. I am leaving the cube."
I
Describe that
did.
moment for us.
I put in 4 month notice. I
Oh, you
put in
did that? Marissa knew. Like, Marissa said, "Look, you got 4 months to find somebody to replace me."
I put in my 4 month notice, and the thing was, I always say music saved my life. Um, and so when I got into the music industry, I was having the best time ever until I wasn't. And
Hmm.
when I was able to go, I could go to any concert, any show, have all the access. When it came to the point where it was Sunday night and I didn't want to go to sleep because that meant Monday morning I had to wake up to go into the office.
Yeah.
And and I didn't and I really, really knew when I didn't want to go to any shows, any concerts. And that was something that filled my soul. That's something that was self-care for me. And
Mm.
when that started happening and it started seeping into my personal life, where my now husband, back then my partner, my boyfriend, he was just like, this is affecting this.
Mm,
And
mhm.
then I was like, oh yeah. And so that's when I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go off on my own, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do because at that time I was, you know, um, a production manager, a print buyer. Back in the days, kids that are watching, we used to buy a lot of print ads, and I was like, "What am I going to do?" But I did it, and I went into to started designing for different clients at the time, and then accidentally became an artist, exhibiting artist. So many things happened because I took that step. But at that time,
Yeah.
I knew it in my soul. I was like miserable, unhappy when I didn't want to go to any concert, any music, live music. I knew something was wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because the words at the bottom of that pic of the card, it says 10 of, pentacles. It says, "Financial security for yourself and your family." And then
That's
it
correct.
says, "Peace and contentment in life." It's like, I wanna be able to live my life the way I wanna live it
Yes.
in that sense. So, I am definitely intrigued with you said exhibiting artist.
Yes.
Tell us more about that. What's exhibiting artist?
So exhibiting art. So, I never, like I said before earlier, I never thought myself as an artist. I just happened in high school. They took us on a field trip to a graphic design firm. I didn't even know what that was at the time,
Mhm.
but the owner took me aside and he was like, "This could be you. It's communication, organizational, spatial relationships, and an artist doesn't have to, a creator doesn't have to just be a painter." And so that's what I ended up going to school for. But when I left the music industry, at the time too, I think a couple of years before, I was taking pictures. Since I was at these concerts anyways, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just be a photographer. And that's what I was doing. But then that wasn't my real deal. But I was asked to exhibit. I was in a book with these amazing LA photographers, legendary photographers. And then someone asked me, "What else do you do?" They just asked, "Well, what else can you do creatively? We're going to do this one exhibit." And I did that. And then from then on, it was just like this ripple effect. And I was like, am I really by accident? I was like, am I really an exhibiting artist right now? And it's taken me around the world. And it's been, you know, it stopped when 2006, because because I was a mom, but also because I got sick. And but it was a long run, and I was like, "Wow, this is amazing. This is I never anticipated. This was a dream." Sometimes does this happen to you? You have A
Hmm.
dream is fulfilled that you never knew, that you never dreamt of.
Yes.
Right?
You almost like the I didn't even know I wanted this, but it just feels good. Like,
Like, and also it's kind of like I didn't know, I didn't have the permission. I didn't know that I could dream this.
mm,
Especially, being Latinx, being a child of immigrants, it's like art at the time, especially during that time, art seemed super unattainable, super only for a select group of people. Because the only
mhm.
art that I saw at the time was when we went on field trips to the museum. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And then it has evolved and now it's more accessible. And so it was like I said, it was a dream I never dreamt of. And this is amazing. And because of that, I've met some amazing people that are now family, are literally family. Some I talk to almost every day still.
Yeah.
Because I found my group. I always talk about my tribe, finding my tribe. And I found different people to add to my tribe that help to satisfy those different areas, since I am a floater and I like so many things. So I have my
Yes.
artist friends, I have my music friends, I have, the mom friends, I have, and there's overlappage and sometimes there's not, but it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so something because conversations and signs and messages, I definitely believe in them and they are so important. What was it that you think the person that said something to you on the field trip that you can do this? Like, what did you exude, say, show in order to get that divine message? Do you think you did anything in particular that day?
I don't know, but the way he pulled me aside, I feel like he might have seen my face. He might have seen something on my face where it was like, this exists. Probably. Plus, I'm super animated and stuff, but I was pretty quiet back then, but I was super animated. So I'm the kind of person where, I mean, I can do a good job if I have to, but sometimes I can't hide my face, you know,
Yes.
whether I like you or I don't like you,
It's
I do
written.
my, I try,
All on a
but
countenance. Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? So, I think he might have seen that I was just kinda like, "What? What is this world?" You know? Um, and then it was also great because he was of color. I believe he was Asian,
Mm,
um, and I think he just, just maybe he saw himself in me. I don't know, but he helped me tremendously. And he also told me, if you can't get into art center, which is a, super expensive art school that's out here on the West Coast, he's like,
mhm,
go Long Beach State, which is a state school here in California, has an amazing graphic design program. Get in there.
mm,
And that's where I ended up going. So, I mean, he helped me so many different ways because, and I just talked about this recently too. As child of immigrants, um, you know, we don't have people in our family that know the steps on how to apply for college, how,
right.
and so you
Mhm.
kind of figure on your own. So he really helped me out by even telling me about Art Center. I didn't know. I was living 2 eggs away from the border. I don't know about that. And to
Mhm.
tell me that Long Beach State offers this amazing program. So he
Mm,
really helped me out in a lot of different ways, showing me a whole profession, a career that I could take, and also what are the first steps in my education to get there.
I love that. See, that's why those, conversations that people can have with you, because, like you said, you don't even necessarily particularly know, like you said, maybe it's just the awe of the expression on your face, and then it was like, "Okay, she's open, she's ready." That, like, 2 portal, like, "Okay, let me drop in and give her these, nuggets of information of how she can go on to the path that she's supposed to, be on." So with that, so when you're here now, like today being 222 in this whole portal, where do you see yourself like a year from now? What would
Hmm.
you like to be doing?
A year from now, I would like to be, I think, first and foremost, happy and safe. Uh,
Mm,
and I hope that the seeds that I have planted and that I am planting this year have, grown. And
mm.
I think those are the major things.
Oh, okay. Tell me about the seeds you planted.
So my husband and I were getting ready to launch Angles Agency, which is a BIPOC owned creative brand agency,
Mhm.
and it's something that came out of we both work for ourselves, but work in the live music, live event space. So when the pandemic happened, um, you know, it impacted us significantly, and we have been trying to figure out different ways to evolve to be in this new space. So that's a major one. We are very close um, to doing that within the next couple of weeks. And so that's kind of been a major one. Another one is I have a podcast called Word to Your Mama, where it's me and I talk to my amazing, super talented multicultural tribe.
Yes.
Um, it's mostly people of color that are dear and near to me, or they're what they have said, what they have written, what their projects have impacted my life. And if I do have any Caucasians, I say that I have equality Caucasians on there. And that has been something that started out of the pandemic just as an outlet, a creative outlet, because I didn't have the bandwidth for anything else. Um,
Mhm.
and so I started that just to do it. And now the seeds have been planted where I'm really trying to grow it and get the message out there to really support diverse voices and get as many people to hear it and know it, and also to create a community. So that's something that has been, happening. And because of that, um, we're going to be announcing in a week that we are now going to be part of the Latina Podcast Network, and we're talking about Latina podcasts that are not just Latinx hosted in the States, but also, everywhere else around Latin America. So that feel like, I'm finding communities and finding tribes to continue to be a part of and grow all these different seeds.
Well, it's interesting because you're aligning. So again, back to this card. And the very last thing says passing on knowledge. And then it was like, okay, so I was connecting with your vibe of like, okay, what is she wanting in the portal? And you got the snake and it says healing.
Oh,
And it
mhm.
says you are a healer. But one of the things at first, again, when we are talking about snakes, usually people like scared and fear of the whole of that, right? But let's see, because I want you to hear what they have to say for you. So it says snake healing, you are a healer. The healing gifts you possess are not actually yours. They emanate from divine spirit and grounded in your body, and it's through your body that this force is focused and expressed. The two areas are the hot spots, quote unquote, for this concentration of life force are your heart and your hands. Pay attention to these areas and do whatever you must to keep them energetically clear. An effective way to clear your heart and hands is to purge them by bathing with white light, allowing whatever psychic debris have been rinsed off with the light to drown down your spine and legs and out through the soles of your feet into Mother Earth. She will readily and easily accept this invisible toxic waste and transform it into new life. So just even like this new life that you're creating for yourself. It says, don't fear your healing power. It's your destiny to relieve the suffering of others,
Ah,
which connecting with the whole, the Latina community, the minority community, like all of those different things, right? And as you do so, you transform your own suffering from
yes.
this and other lifetimes into compassion and love, which is the purest expression of life energy you can have. That is healing, no matter what the form is. So, however you did it back in your cubicle before, this music thing, or how you're doing it now to the podcast, the more open you remain, the more the master power of the universe can come through you and create miracles. So it's rebirth. Additional associations talk about rebirth. So you're rebirthing yourself and your business in this
Okay.
whole thing, right? Also sexuality, transmutation, and transformation. And what's interesting is that also beforehand I said Okay, I'm drawn to this today. So I'm going to have this sitting here. And it is a golden healer quartz, which is
Mm.
connected with you. And it was like the whole yellow and my finger here. And with the stay, I was like, oh. And the whole golden healer quartz is when we're talking about the things that you're doing, is speaking to that. It says you attract abundance, prosperity, success. You're easing your stress and anxiety. It helps break bad habits, releases negative patterns and behaviors, especially in relationships. It raises vibrations, brings powerful healing of the body, mind, and spirit.
Amazing. That is awesome. That is exactly where I'm at, what I'm trying to do, the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like I found that out in the last maybe year, really 6 months, really. If I
Mhm.
really focus on it, it was like, you know, it was one thing to get used to my voice. It was another thing to get used to my face, to be out and about and be okay with it because someone told me, they need your message. They need
Yep.
this. And the feedback that I've been getting now that I've been putting more effort, a concerted effort to get it out there and share it and be okay with, there's a thing of like this humility thing where I just, but especially as as a someone that works for yourself, an entrepreneur, that you have to strike that balance of telling people what you do, sharing what you do.
Mhm.
And so I was told like they need it. People
Yep.
need it. And the feedback I've been
Healing.
getting,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I've said it multiple times on the podcast because there's always through lines that we discuss. I have Academy Award winning producers, directors, all kinds of people, writers, healers, all kinds of things. And there's a couple of things that always happen. We talk about the nonlinear career path. We talk
Mhm.
about being the one or the one of few in, like say a male
Mhm.
dominant industry, da da da. But also it always comes out organically, mental healing, spiritual healing. And having these conversations helps me. Having these conversations helps them. Having these conversations and people that are listening, I get, messages saying like, thank you so much. That was, and
Yeah.
it's just like affirming that what I'm doing is right. So that makes sense.
I'm like, you got another affirming that makes sense. Like I said, it's empowered and true say, I am exactly where I need to be. You are ready to allow the energy from the divine and the mother earth to fuel you as you fulfill your potential here.
I am
And
ready.
like,
On the
and
222, because I remember when we were booking this and I was like, wow, that's kind of far out, but yeah, I'm okay. And I think I maybe even said like, if anyone, if there's any cancellations, if you need me. I don't
mhm.
know what my rush was, but then today I was like, it's meant to happen today. It had to happen today.
Yes, so that is one of the things, because we had, like, another guest with Arnita, she was a guest, and I think hers was, like, March, and she came on and, like, say Emmanuel was like, "Ask her," and she was like, I had just within the hour of her saying, "I need this to happen the first week," I was emailing her, right? And that's what I look at this, is that every person that I'm connecting with, I'm realizing that it is the divine timing that we're going to be face to face on this screen together, and that it aligns to exactly where we need to be. Because not only am hopefully that I'm encouraging you, is that I'm encouraged by, your story and what I'm hearing from the guests and what I'm aligning and getting these chills and confirmation. I'm like, yep, this is, exactly. I mean, because even with the whole healer thing, that's encouraging for me of healing, and what that looks like is different for everybody,
Exactly.
right? And so it's like, if I'm just coming along and be able to encourage you and you're encouraging me, that's healing that's taking place. So that's where we can go on to the next step, the next day of what we are supposed to be here to do, to serving others. So it's absolutely been a pleasure to share this. Was it, were they calling a hashtag on LinkedIn Tuesday with you? Thank you so much, and be encouraged in continuing this work that you are doing to serve the community. So, thank you for those that have joined Marissa and I on this all intuitive conversation. And Marissa, hold on until after the outro. We'll see you guys
Thank you
next
so
week.
much.
You're so welcome.